Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us again this week. My name's James Krane, and you're watching Pay Yourself First, TV Cogeco show about your financial success. Well, I touched a little bit on memories, you know, and if you're in your, I'm not going to tip my age, but if you're in your 40s or 50s, you know, your parents had video that was taken that didn't have sound on it, and it's on these reels, and it's stored downstairs with elastic bands wrapped around it, and maybe it's in the family archive somewhere. How do you watch them? I mean, you know, nobody has projectors that do that, and even if you do, the parts are getting few and far between, so if it breaks, you'll never be able to see them again. What you need to do before they deteriorate too far is get them transferred into something that you can actually watch on your computer today. So my guest with me today, Judy Whale. Judy, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Your company is All About You Video Productions.
Yes.
And I know when you think of All About You, when you think of video productions, you think, okay, I'm having a wedding and I need to get somebody in to film the wedding, but you go a lot deeper than that, don't you?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do weddings already, and they're very good at it. And what I do in weddings, I do older weddings. So a lot of times people will have a wedding that they had done, and it might have been just families. You know, Uncle Joe took some video, and it may not be that great. But they've decided, you know, after maybe 10 years that they want to make a professional looking video and have a nice keepsake to pass down to their kids. So that's where I come in.
So the bulk of what you do then is really taking our memories, slides, and we'll get into all this in a little bit more detail, but slides, Super 8 videos, things like that, and actually transfer them onto DVDs, right? So we can watch them on our computer.
Exactly. They can either be just transferred. Some people just prefer a simple transfer, and other people want a lot of editing. They want titles added in, and
so you do.
Anything is possible.
Okay, we'll get into a little bit more detail in just a second, but let's talk about how you started out. And you know, usually what we're doing on this show, we interview entrepreneurs, people who have not been afraid to sort of take that little bit of step outside of the 9-to-5 comfort zone and do something on your own, something that maybe sometimes is a passion or something like that. So how did you get involved with doing this?
Well, I was formerly a graphic artist for many years, worked in different venues, packaging and catalog work. And then came the recession, and I found myself in need of a new career. But all the while I had had this hobby, and it had started from my own family movies that my mother had passed away when I was 7. And when my dad passed away about 20 years ago, we had started to get our family films, get them converted. But it was in the 90s, and there wasn't
Technology just wasn't the same back then, was it? They didn't have DVDs.
No.
So what did they put it on, a VHS tape or
They
something?
put it on a VHS tape.
And now you're taking VHS tapes and converting them to something
Exactly, exactly.
Right.
But, you know, and it was just, I was amazed at how precious this stuff was, and I started looking into how I could make it better, because the ones that we had done, we were not happy with the quality. So
okay.
I started looking at how to do it properly, and it's just evolved from there. And I started doing it for family. I did it for ours first, and it was somebody else's family. Then it just became one of those things I was passionate about. I could work all day on a computer at work, and I could come home and spend the rest of the night working on that, and people thought I was insane. So.
Well, it's funny because one of the words that you used just now a couple times is passion, right? And it makes, they say, there's a saying that says, if you love what you do, you never have to work another day in your life.
That's right.
And I guess it must be very fulfilling for you to get feedback from your customers. And I was on your website, and All About You Video Productions, it's all about you, allaboutyouvideo.ca. We'll get that up in a few minutes, but you've got a ton of testimonials on there, people that are just thrilled to bits. That must be very fulfilling for you.
It is.
To have people react the way they react.
Yeah, it's a gift to me too. So I might be doing something for them, but it is very gratifying. Some people haven't seen these movies in 40, 50 years, and a lot of times I'll hear the stories behind them, and it's incredible. Some of the stories that you just wouldn't even dream about, and the families that were, you know, how they were, and it brings them back together a lot of times too, because then I hear that, oh, they had a reunion and they watched these movies, and you know, it makes me feel like I was part of it. So I feel like an honorary member to a lot of families.
That's wonderful. Well, it just helps them rekindle a lot of old memories and things like that that may have been forgotten and left to celebrate. Now, okay, now what happens with these tapes and these slides if you just leave them sitting there? They're probably not stored properly, first of all, but over time, I guess, what happens? They just deteriorate?
They will eventually deteriorate, yes. And eventually you just won't have any way of watching them. And I know that companies like mine that do conversions, there are ones that just will do straight conversions for you, but even then, eventually you won't be able to find them. So the other thing is that a lot of people, the people who created the movies or who are in the movies, we're not going to be around forever. So who's going to tell the story, especially with the silent films? Who's going to say what day it was, what it was this such and such a year, and Aunt Mary's birthday, and there's your mother or your grandparents when they were in their 40s or 50s.
Sticking out their tongue.
Exactly. Nobody's going to remember, and nobody's going to know.
I didn't know she was that crazy.
That's right. It really brings forth their personalities.
Okay, now when you did the very first one, what was the problem with it? And it's like, what was the catalyst that led you into doing this? So you mentioned that it was really low quality, and like, what was the process then compared to the process now?
In the 90s, what they used to do is they'd take a regular projector, and they would project it onto a screen, and then they would use probably on a tripod, a camera, and just film it right from the.
Really, isn't
it? Especially with ours, because there was a wind tunnel or something behind the screen, and made the screen move the whole time that the movie was playing, and the the music was just horrendous, and there had to be a better way. So looked into doing that, and one thing led to another, and now I use a Teleson machine.
It's
a Teleson machine.
Teleson? Okay.
So it uses a cool bulb, so it never ever burns the film. It's
huge.
Much more gentle on the film because it only has one sprocket, so it's not pulling all the way, because the films do become very brittle and fragile after many years. But it also captures the full color, and I enhance the color. I can most of the film, the older film, will come out quite dark now. But I use programs that will lighten it.
So just technology has just come so far.
Anything is possible.
Wow.
Then you can add pictures to it, you can add titles to it, you can special effects, anything.
Now you were nice enough to bring a little clip for us. Can you give us a little tip into what's in the clip, and then we'll watch it?
Well, it's sort of a sample of what I do, a variety of what I do, because I do those, I do the children's videos, I do...
okay, yeah, don't spill the beans. I want to talk about that after the break.
All right, and it just gives you an idea of what they can look like, and how they can turn out, because people often think, well, they're really old, they're going to be really bad, but it's surprising and people have seen things that they said, oh, I didn't even know that was on there, because it might have filmed so dark, but I can lighten it enough that they can see some images that may be the only images that they have of the
and it may be the only images, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to watch this quick video, so stay with us, let's enjoy this, and then we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
That's so close to my heart lives a dear loving mother, so gentle and kind. Same old witchcraft when your eyes meet mine, the same old tingle that I feel inside.
Children with communication disorders, to children with autism, and to children who are blind or deaf. We have been...
Say hey,
Well, I think we're flying around a mountain now. Look at me, I'm flying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The big D and the little d. D sounds like duh, duh. D is for dates. Wow, I can't wait. Dates are going to be great in our salad. And D is for drums. Well, we can't put drums in our salad. They wouldn't taste very good. But let's see how they sound. I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Up above the world.
Proper tire pressure and tread depth are critical for good fuel economy, safety, maximum tire life, and proper handling performance. Checking your tires frequently not only keeps your vehicle safe, it'll also save you money at the gas pump. You can improve gas mileage by more than 3% by maintaining proper tire pressure. Proper tire pressure is the specified air pressure given by a car maker for a certain tire on a specific vehicle. Use the recommendations listed in the owner's manual or on the inflation sticker found on the driver's side door jamb. Keep an accurate tire pressure gauge in your car and check the tires once a month when they're cold. The minimum amount of tread allowable by law is at least 1/16 of an inch or more. There are a couple ways to check tire tread depth. Use a tread depth gauge, or if you see a wear bar across the width of the tread while facing, replace the tire. For a free copy of the Be Car Care Aware Car Care Guide, or for more information, visit carcarecanada.ca.
And we're back. Thanks very much for staying with us. You're watching Pay Yourself First, and we're talking with Judy Whale of All About You Video Productions. So, Judy, okay, let's get into a little bit more specific about the services that you provide. Okay, I'm rooting around through the archives, the box of stuff that I got from Dad's house, and I find these reels, and they've got elastic bands around them, which is probably the worst thing, right?
Yes.
And so what do I do? I want to get these onto something that I can watch. What do I do?
Well, that's when you would give me a call and tell me what you have. And the beauty about my business, what I do, and I want to keep it personal, and why I deal with people directly, is because a lot of time people will not know what's on them. They won't have a clue, especially if it's from their parents' house or their grandparents' house. And what I can actually do is film them first, clean them up, and I have my client come and sit across the desk from me, and we'll go through them one at a time. We can skim through them and then they can recognize the different people. The children, we can tell a lot what year it is by the children's age.
Right.
And then we can put it in chronological order, so it makes sense. Becomes a family. It's like Ancestry.com on video. It really becomes that.
Can we say Ancestry.com? We can't? Oh, we can? Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just joking.
But it's that it becomes a keepsake, a family. Sending.
Oh, sure.
Just like you're keeping
Now,
your
hold
own.
it now, but see, okay, 10 years ago, okay, maybe 15 years ago, we thought VHS, that's the way to go. And everybody was getting their Super 8s transferred onto VHS. How do we know that DVDs are still going to be around 10 years ago? 10 years, I suppose they will, right? The floppy disks are gone.
Yeah.
So we can still play CDs and DVDs. Then you go DVDs probably, right? Because they're bigger, they just hold more stuff.
That's right. Well, DVDs will last. They're saying they have a longevity of 100 years. But of course there'll be something, probably the cloud or something else, some new technology will be around. But once these are transferred, they're edited, it'll be a simple.
Digitized.
Exactly. That would just be a matter of transferring it to the next media.
Right. Once it's in a
rather than having to go through and trying to, like I said, by then you may not even have projectors or any kind of television machines that will do these old videos.
So, okay, so you do transfers then, and you, I had the opportunity to check out your website last night. Great website, by the way.
Thank you.
And allaboutyouvideo.ca. And so you do a number of different things. You do transfers, but you not just transfer, you could actually do a narration if you wanted to, or put music behind it and put special effects and what have you. One of the coolest things I saw on your website was, it's like you're going through a video, an album of photographs. and like a slideshow, kind of, but it was nicer laid out. And all of a sudden, one of the slides, the people are moving. So it was you built a movie into the slideshow of pictures.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing. It was kind of like Harry Potter-esque, walking down the hall and the pictures are moving. So how did you come up with that idea?
Oh, there's it's lots of research because I love this stuff. I'm always looking at new ways and new ways of presenting it. It's very much in the presentation, just like anything else that people do, whether it's a nice dinner or something. It has to be in the presentation. A slideshow is a slideshow, and it can be very boring and monotonous. But when you make a nice presentation out of it, put good music with it, it becomes something that people want to watch over and over again, and they want to share it because it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Right, and then it's funny, when you hear that song again on the radio,
Yes.
all of a sudden, boom, your memory slips back to sitting with all your family and watching that. It's funny, we had an audiologist that was on who does music therapy, and we were talking specifically about that, how music zaps you back to a certain place and time, and it just makes you smile because
That's right.
that's wonderful. Okay, so you do the Super 8 videos, those little ones that your parents used to do that didn't have any sound on them. But what else do you do? Slides, I guess?
I do the 35
slides?
millimeter slides. Again, that can be made to any kind of, that can be put together with VHS tapes. It can all be blended, no matter what people want. It becomes your own recipe, what's important and what you have and what you want to put together. A lot of times they make great 50th anniversary presents for parents, especially 80th birthdays. I've done a lot of 50 birthdays in the past few years, so there's a lot of us turning 50.
Everybody turned 50.
Yeah.
62, everybody.
Right.
What was 62? There was some.
I don't know, must have been a pretty popular
There's a
year.
lot of people. I know a whole bunch of people. That okay, so you also do then the VHS tapes
Yes.
to DVD as well, right?
A lot of times that's just straight conversion because they don't have VHS player or VCRs anymore.
Right.
So,
Who has a VCR now?
or they're not playing properly, or they're just concerned because they really, if you look it up, they didn't have their lifespan is 20 years
20 years,
And
a VHS
for a
tape.
VHS tape.
Man, most of my VHS tapes are probably 20 years old now,
Yeah,
I think, right?
Yeah, but they say that right, on any of the sites that they never expected them to last that long. So.
Right. See, my generation, that's a little bit more relevant because that's the films that I have of our kids are all on VHS tapes, and they're going to be gone soon. So the urgency is to get not only the archives, the family archives, the old photos. And we were talking before the show. I've got pictures of my dad's parents from way back in the day. Never met them, but those are the family archives, and we really need to get those preserved as well as the stuff from today, right?
Right.
Okay, but you also do events, right? You do.
I do.
Videos, graduations, weddings, that sort of thing as
Yeah.
well. And
Yes, a lot of baptisms and some corporate events, website videos, things like that. Yeah, I do such a nice variety. It keeps everything interesting.
okay, now let's talk about Dusty and Me. Because again, if you have a chance to get onto the website, take a look at this. It's really, really cool. Tell me a little bit exactly what this is.
Dusty and Me he's a puppet. Dusty is a wonderful puppet. He's a sock puppet. And the idea came to me when my grandson was born, and I was looking for educational material that was Canadian, because if you learn the alphabet through most of the videos that you can buy online, everything teaches Z, A, B, C, D.
Oh, sure.
And
That's
and
annoying,
that's
isn't
the
it?
American way of saying it. And then they get to school and they're trying to be taught that it's Z. Things like that, just the way where words are spelled, color, with a U for Canada, and it's not with the States. So I started making a video for him. It was very, very sort of crude. It was just with a white sock and a paper face, and he loved it. The other thing I noticed with him was that he was fascinated by watching himself on TV. So I thought, well, why not combine the two? Maybe he'll pay more attention. And lo and behold, he did.
So we can make an educational video that has them in it.
That's right. Their faces all throughout it. The Dusty and Me, I do make a generic version because it costs more to make the personalized one, and some people would just want the Dusty and Me with Bo Bear.
Right.
And it's the same thing, except it's just Bo Bear's face. But if you want it personalized, that puts a child's face in it. If you personalize it for two, you can have the two children, or you can have, as some people have done with their great aunt or grandma in the video with them, and they do a little workout. They have star bodies, so they're totally generic. And
So what do you need from me to do that? If I decided I wanted our kids to be, well, they're a little bit older now, but if I decided
They
I
could
wanted
still
our kids
have
to be
fun.
part of it, yeah, sure they could. What do you need from me to do that? Just a picture?
I just need a photo.
Video? Just
yeah,
a photo,
just a
that's it.
photo. I need a good photo of the face with the whole face and the head showing, because I would crop around that, and that goes in the video. You can see online, so they can't be holding an ice cream cone or,
Right.
or having anything in front of their face. And as long as I have that, I can make the video.
Okay, I thought that was so cool. And I won't get into the pricing, but you have all the pricing laid out right on your website as
Yep.
well, right?
Yeah.
So you make it really easy for people to make that decision. And the one thing that I noticed, Judy, is your pricing is reasonable. I mean, it wasn't ridiculously expensive to get this done, because some of us may have a substantial amount of these things there. So you can get everyone made just generically, or you can get everyone made and make it into its own little video, or you can get an amalgamation of all of them and make one spectacular DVD that sort of encompasses the history of your family and give it out to your siblings at Christmas. And I think that's what we're going to do this year. So we're definitely going to use your services for sure.
you.
Okay, now we met through the BNI, right? The Business
Yes.
Network International. Tell me a little bit about your BNI chapter, because you guys were chosen the best
Chapter of the
BNI
year.
Chapter of the year for 2012.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And I
Yes.
noticed your website is really fantastic too.
Yeah.
So you guys, how did you become part of the BNI?
Actually, Charles Sander, the one who's created our website, he was the one who, he sent me an email one day, and I had never even heard of really networking until that point. And I was intrigued by it. He was looking for a videographer, but I wrote him back and told him what I did and would they be interested in what I did. And he said, yeah,
That's
come
so
on out.
unique and,
Yeah,
That's
and
fantastic.
been there ever since. And our group has grown, and I can't even imagine. It's given me a lot of confidence. You know, you're around other business professionals, and it's like you have a little family, sort of a backup. So even when you have a problem, they have people you can go to, or the resources are unlimited.
Well, wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows I'm a big advocate of the BNI.
Yeah.
I like hearing other people say that and hear other people's stories. Okay, so I watched Dusty and Me last night, and then it was on YouTube, right? And then
Yes.
at the end of the YouTube video, it went poof, Friday the 13th, Port Dover, All About You Productions. What's that all about? And so I watched that one too. That was pretty cool.
That was actually my husband.
Oh, is it really?
My husband and a friend of his went to Port Dover for the first time this year on Friday the 13th, when they
Okay.
have all the motorcycles come there.
Sure.
And he took some little video and things like that. So I just thought I'd put it together in a fun way for him to see.
Well, that
And
looked great. Well, I know that there's lots of Harley riders or
Yeah.
motorcycle riders here in Milton, not necessarily all
well, it
Harleys,
makes
but-
me want to go next year, because I didn't go
Made me
this year.
wanna go,
so,
too, and I didn't even own a
yeah,
bike.
yeah, I know. I don't, and I thought that looks really cool.
Oh,
so
that's fantastic. So, okay, what's the best way for people to reach you? What's your email address?
it's all_about_you, YOU,
Okay.
at rogers.com.
Oh, that's really easy. And your email, your website is?
allaboutYouvideo.ca.
Oh, that's wonderful. And is there a phone number that they can reach you?
Yes, it's 905-792-9562.
Okay. Well, Judy, I've learned a lot today, and we are definitely going to use your services, because we're in that situation where we've got stuff we need to preserve, and I love the fact that we can sit down with you and go over it one-on-one and get really what we want. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Pay Yourself First, TV Cogeco show about your financial success. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Cystic fibrosis fills your lungs with fluid, makes every breath a struggle. It's like drowning on the inside. Help us stop CF from swallowing young lives. Be a lifeline. Be the reason someone with cystic fibrosis keeps breathing.
Because she'll need 2 more operations before her first birthday.
Because parents should never outlive their child.
Because I need his heart to keep beating.
Because I have to have more chemo.
You can save a life right now. Please book an appointment to donate blood today by calling 1-888-2-DONATE. Canadian Blood Services. It's in you to give.
Every 3 minutes, cancer picks a fight with another Canadian. Help them win. Visit fightback.ca.
And we're back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, All About You video productions, that's how you do it. That's how you preserve your memories. Certainly they last for a while up there, but eventually they just go away. And not only that, it's the stories. When you're sitting back watching these old videos, while the people are still around that maybe were part of those videos, can share with the younger generations some insight into what was going on at the time. How do you put a price on that? Well, if you really get onto the website and you get onto allaboutYouVideo.ca, and you can see that Judy's prices are really reasonable. And I'm not kidding around when I'm saying we have to do this. And I never liked the idea of sending my videos or my pictures to somebody that I didn't know, because there's a chance that you're not going to get them back. There's always that uncertainty. And how do you replace that? Well, you can't. So allaboutYouVideo.ca, check it out. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to see you again next week. You can always give us a call. We always like to hear back from you at 289-891-6703. My name is James Krane. See you again next week.